What's up, Vet TV? I'm here with Josh Francis, veteran as well as comedian, actor, and writer. He is somebody who is in the creative space from the military community, and we're celebrating people like him for this Veterans Day. Josh Francis, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Josh Francis. I am a stand-up comic based in South Florida right now. I worked for Vet TV for a couple of years, did some freelancing stuff, and then went full time. And then I moved to Florida, and now I'm doing stand-up full time. Prior to that, I was in the Marines for 4 years. I was an AAV crewman. So if you're listening to this, yeah, yes. And other than that, man, I mean, I just normal guy.
Would would uh, would the young what how old were you when you joined?
I was 18. Yep.
18.
Yeah, I did the whole MEPS thing when I was 17 and then left when I was 18.
What would the 18-year-old version of you who's like in boot camp, what would he think now if he could see where you're at in life?
I'm thick as fuck, dude. I was so skinny. I
Yeah.
was when I yeah, that's honestly it's like I think I've maintained my personality throughout. I feel like I didn't let there's dudes who it becomes their personality and
Mhm.
everybody knows that. And I feel like I've managed to I don't know. I stayed true to myself, which I think is as corny as that just sounded. I think it's a key to being creative, you know?
Yeah, so as somebody who is in the creative space as a veteran now, do you feel like there is a specific emotion or feeling that drives you? Like, what
Hmm.
is it that makes you feel like you put out your best work, would you say?
Well, I mean, everything kind of it's so I'm gonna use the word cheesy a lot in this interview because I think everything is when I start talking about creative processes and
Yeah.
everything, I just feel like a cornball. But it is like I do think that you get instilled in you when you're in the military, just everything about like, you never half-ass something. You always you go until it's done, you go until it's finished, until it's perfect as much as it can be. And so when it comes to like creating things, I think my work ethic it's been instilled in me through the military. I
Mhm.
do think that. Like before I joined the military, I was fucking getting high and making pizzas. That's what my
Yeah.
job was. It's like I had no discipline. I had no like I would half-ass things, who cares, whatever. But then after the military really was when I started to take pride in whatever it was that I was doing. And so the feeling that I get when I'm starting to, when I've worked hard on something, I'm ready to put it out or I'm ready to, share it on it if it's a joke and I'm ready to share it to a big crowd or whatever. It's pride. It's I've worked so hard for the past couple of months doing whatever it is to perfect whatever medium I'm working in. If it's a sketch, if it's a video, if it's a if it's a silly joke, it's there's so much work that goes into it behind the scenes that people don't know about.
Once you get an idea in your head, do you feel like you're in control or do you kind of take the driver's seat and the idea is just going?
I guess it's a little bit of both. So I've realized that when it comes it depends on what I'm doing, right? So
Mhm.
if I'm working on like a bit for like a joke, like a stand-up act, I write it down. I have to write the idea down and then I do like a process of like I need every little word to be like perfected before I bring it on stage. So I'll write like 7 or 8 drafts of something and then run each one like in a set trying to make sure it's the best it can be. But then if it's something like so I'm very much in control of that. But then if it's something like a sketch or I'm collaborating with other people, other creatives, I find that it's best to just let the work take over. When if I'm riffing with somebody and we're filming a sketch and I go off script, but it's funnier than what's written, then it's like, oh, that wasn't me. I'm in control, but I wasn't planning on doing that.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's an odd balance.
Do you feel like you enjoy workshopping your
Yeah,
stuff or does
yeah,
it just, yeah.
that's like I mean, I romanticize bombing on
Mhm.
stage. It's like fun. It's one of those things where it's like, damn, I just bombed really bad with this joke,
Mhm.
but I know in a week from now I'll have this thing perfected. It's like maybe not a week, but eventually this concept that my brain thought of while it's doing bad right now will turn into a great joke that people will love.
Yeah. Um, when you're looking at where you're at now versus back then versus 18-year-old, like I would consider you a professional comedian, and maybe you would walk around, I don't know, bragging about that to people. Like, I don't know. It's weird to kind of start giving yourself titles in casual
Yeah.
conversation, but I consider you a professional comedian if you're a working comedian. What would you feel like is the biggest time waster from 18-year-old Josh to who you are now? What held you back from getting to where you're at in life? What slowed you down a little bit, you think?
Oof. I think there's a couple of I think the environment in which I was in. I
Mhm.
think, when I was I guess this is kind of a two-part answer. So the first part with the environment, I went to try to do stand-up comedy for the first time when I was 18, but
Oh,
I couldn't get in because I wasn't 21. The bar that I was trying to do it at wouldn't let me in. So it was like I could have started that when I was 18, but then it's like that's a whole butterfly effect, like what would have happened, blah blah blah. I do think the military has been the best route, but then from not the environmental thing, the biggest thing that's held me back or time waste, I think, was doing what other people wanted me to do. Like,
mhm.
I got out and what I thought I had to do. I got out of the military and I went to college. I got a degree in English literature and with a minor in like creative writing. It's like I didn't need to do that. I did that because I thought that's what I had to do. And it's like during that time, I wasn't doing stand up. I wasn't doing anything. I had I had this thought process of like, well, once I'm done with school, then I
Mhm.
can do the creative thing. That's when it's the time to start. And it's like, no, the time to start is whenever. There is no time to start. It's like right now. Like go do it right now. And so I kind of held myself back in the sense that I thought I needed a checklist of what
Mhm.
I had to do before I could actually pursue something. I didn't realize it's one of those things where it's like hindsight. It's like I should have started when I was even in the military, but I just
Yeah.
thought like I can't do this until I'm out of the military. I can't do this until I've graduated. I can't do this until I have time to focus on it. And it's like even now you have to make time. It's never going to just be a blank schedule. Here's the thing you have to do. It's like you have to make time for things that you want to do. I definitely waited too long because I thought that that's what I had to do. I thought that I had to do what everyone was telling me to do. Get out of the military, use your GI Bill, get the degree,
Yeah.
get a job, and then from there be a person. And it's like, no, dude, I should have done that. I shouldn't even. I don't even use my degree, dude. I don't have a job. I don't have a real job. I don't have a 9 to 5.
I think that's good advice for anybody who's watching who probably wants to emulate you, because a lot of younger veterans who are getting out are probably going to the same thing, to where they think they have to do these things in order because it's kind of like a checklist that's been established, like a
Yeah.
precedent. So that's some advice that you might have gave your younger self. If we're talking about your future self now, Josh Francis, 10
Oh
years from
God,
now, what would he say he wishes you would accomplish quicker to help him out in life?
dude. That's I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I think I'm at a. I do think I don't know. I guess I don't know. I tell you what, in 10 years, I'll get back to you. I don't know if there's if I'm looking right now and if I'm trying to be objective, I think that I do as much as do. But I do think that I think I do as much as I can. I think I try to put and so maybe because I mean I do stuff. I mean I'm always creating stuff. I'm always editing. I'm always
Mhm.
writing. I'm always coming up. But maybe that's almost a downfall. Maybe it is. Maybe let it breathe. Maybe let stuff breathe. Maybe take a day off. That could be maybe what's happening. That could be some advice.
Do you think that you'll get lazy if you start taking days off?
No, it's just how I work. It's just how I am. It's like if I think I view myself I'm overly critical. It's like if
Mhm.
I take a day off, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm like, why are you not working? You have 7 hours. Don't go make something, you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way possible that comedians could ever be overly critical. No way.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah, no, that would never happen.
There's a saying about, so I'm a huge fan of comedy and of comedians. I'm not a comedian. I just enjoy that there's a certain type of person that's usually drawn to it. And you'll find that comedians usually only like each other like other comedians, and then they also
Yeah.
hate other comedians because they know all about them. Like, I know what drew you to comedy. You are a
Yeah,
horrible
dude.
person.
Yeah, dude. I can tell within like 10 minutes of talking to another comic, like everything about them. It's kind of crazy. It
Yeah,
is.
it's funny because like I'll see, like I grew up, like I was a huge fan of Louis C.K. I was a huge
Oh
fan of
yeah.
like you remember the Louis C.K. show, the
Yeah,
Louis?
Louis.
I
Yeah, it's
loved
one of
watching the bits of the comedians outside the club just talking to each other, and how
yeah, yeah.
jaded and cynical and unhappy but bullied they were at the same time. Like it's like it's one of my favorite things to try and get a grasp to understand people. So if we're trying to understand people, we're going to talk about the younger versions of you. So we talked about your past, we talked a little bit about your future. What about the younger versions of Josh Francis and other comedians, the 20-year-olds, the 22, 23-year-olds? What do you feel like is holding them back in the world of comedy, being a creative?
I think there's no rush.
Mhm.
I think that wants everybody wants so comedy. I feel like every comic is rooted in whether or not whether or not this is completely accurate, I think is up for debate, but I think most comics love the attention and they want to be admired. They want people to be like, "Oh, this guy's funny." Maybe they have other motives, but I think the biggest factor that pushes it's a great feeling to be like, "Hey, I just made this entire room
Mhm.
laugh. I'm funny." And so they want that validation. And I think people want to rush to it. And I think it's fine. Take your time when it comes to hold yourself accountable, but just know that it's all part of the process. Like I for the first 2 3 years I mean, I've only been doing stand up for just under 4 years now, but like the first 2 3 years I was always comparing myself to people. I would be like, "Oh, I'm 20, I'm 27 right now," but I would be like, I'm 26 and that comic started when he was 16. He's 12 years ahead of me and we're the same age. Like what like that's, or whatever. And I would compare myself, but it's like, no, but just because you have a different journey, you don't have to rush because somebody else started before you or somebody else is further ahead than you are. It's like you need to do what you need to do. You need to go through what you need to go through to get better. You don't need to there's no cheat codes. It's like
Mhm.
the fastest way to get to the goal is to go through it. Don't try to go around the shit. So it's like don't I would say don't rush yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people who are maybe farther ahead of you than where you're at right now. If you started with them and they got, I don't know, I think a big thing in social media is like followers, like your following count or whatever. And it's like if somebody has 10,000 more followers than you, it doesn't mean that they're better than you as a person or as a comic. It just means that maybe they've had things go their way and you haven't had that yet. So it's like it'll come. Don't rush it. Things will happen if you truly have the ability that you think you have as a creative. Trust it. Trust the process. Just keep going. Keep making stuff. It'll take off.
Did you get that advice from a mentor, or did you learn that the hard way?
It's a little bit of both. I think
Yeah.
when I got here, one of the comics that I'm on the podcast with right now, his name is Matt Ross. I got here and he had I got here when I moved to Florida, I think I had like 900 followers and I really wasn't doing social media that much. And that's a mistake. You have to market yourself big time. That's another thing that I would say to other creatives, but it's like, I wasn't marketing myself at all. Then I started having conversations with him. And when I got here, he had, I think like 2,000 followers. And I was like, damn, like he's got almost double the amount of followers that I have. And then I started to talk to him about what he does and what his process is and how he views things. And then he kind of put it in my mind and I was like, all right, so like this dude's ahead of me right now and he's doing better than I am objectively when it comes to like social media and marketing.
Mhm.
But instead of being bitter towards that, instead of being like, well, he's just insanely better and I'll never get to that level. It's like I use that mentality to be like, okay, he's doing something I'm not doing. I need to do the thing that he's doing. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be it's not a competition. It's not him versus me. It's what can we do together to get to the best place? You know what I'm saying? So it's like once I started taking his techniques and started doing my own research and everything, we've now been able to help each other grow to the point where we make you know, we sell out shows now, and
Mhm.
it's because of the stuff that we've helped each other do, you know?
I think understanding perception is a
Yeah.
huge part of comedy and writing. Understand how other people are going to view things and how do they think it's funny rather than you think it's funny. So that's a humbling thing as a writer and as a comic, I'm sure, in the first place. So I'm sure you'll be able to teach or coach, like, I don't know, the 22-year-olds who are right now watching this saying, I want to get into the world of comedy. I want to get to be a creative. I should probably humble myself too and get a mentor.
Yeah, just know that people are mean.
Mhm.
Inherent People inherently suck,
Yeah.
but if if one comment or if one bad set or one whatever it is that you're pursuing, one bad drawing, if you're an artist, one bad painting, whatever, one bad song, if you let that dictate, if you let the views that other people have towards
Mhm.
your art dictate how you view your art, then you're doing it wrong. You know, like let people be like, I don't like this, and then you can use that criticism. You can say, okay, what
Mhm.
can I do to make this better? But don't think, oh, this one person didn't like it, that means I'm bad at whatever it is that I'm doing. Be like, that's fuel to the fire. That's not you sucking at stand up. That's you needing to get a better joke. That's you, you know, it's not you being a bad songwriter. It's you learning how to make the instrumentals flow with the lyrics. But you know what I'm saying? Whatever medium it is, take any negativity that you'd get and figure out how to spin it into a positive light. So it's like, yes, it sucks in the moment seeing somebody be like, this wasn't funny, or like telling you, like, I've had crazy comments on stuff that I've
Mhm.
posted. I've had people being like, I want to punch that fucking idiot in the head. And it's like, what the hell is that, dude? But it's like that's funny though. It's like you take that and you're like, oh, okay. Why did he feel that way? Because regardless of whether or not you're right in that situation, whether or not they're right in that situation, there is some truth to what people say. So it is a weird thing where it's like, if a bunch of people are like, this joke is bad, that joke might have been bad, but that doesn't mean that you're bad at stand up. It just means that you wrote a bad joke. Everybody has a thing that they can learn from. So use criticism as you know use criticism as a tool, not as like a detrimental thing. It's a thing that you can get better from. You can take the negativity, spin it positively, make yourself better. Don't let one person on the internet tell you whether or not you're good at your craft.
I love that. And I think that's great advice for the younger people who are watching or the people who want to pursue what you're doing and use this as like a source of coaching information. One last question for you here. Let's say there is a 21, 22-year-old E3 Marine Lance Corporal or a specialist who's about to get out, who's legitimately scared in his barracks room, thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I know I'm not re-enlisting. What advice would you give them?
That's okay. It's okay to not know.
Yeah.
Your plans will change so much. When I got out, I mean, I had such a different trajectory of what I thought I was going to be doing when I went to get out. Because when I went to get out, I mean, everybody has their own story, whatever. But I was talking to the LAPD. I was gonna maybe be a cop. I went through, when you go through that little thing where you're going to get out. What do they call that when you're getting out and you have to go to all those classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taps? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
No, it's
like
not tap. No, not tap.
it's something like that though. It's
You know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
though.
you have to
What
go to
is
the
that called?
classes to learn how to put
How to be a
blue
human
on,
again?
yeah, put blue on your resume because people
Yeah.
like it more. Like
Yeah. 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 That dumb shit. TRS
I think so.
something.
It's gotta be that. I'm
It's
gonna
something.
Google it after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something, but yeah. So, I mean, I was set when I was going through those classes. A police recruiter from the LAPD sat and talked with like 20 of us, and I was like, me and two of my friends were like, "This is what we're doing. We're gonna go and we're gonna get an apartment and blah blah blah." That's like, and then, hey, 1 second, can we pause this quick?
Uh-huh.
Can we get her out of here with the ball? Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
You're so good. They'll cut all this out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think plans change so much that you shouldn't. It's okay if you don't have a plan. But what's not okay, here's what's not okay, is doing nothing. Don't go
Yeah.
and sit in your don't go and be the guy that's, sitting in your mom's house and being like, "Oh, back in my day." And it's like,
Mhm.
"No, dude, like, make sure you're doing something better." I mean, even if it's do something productive each day, though. It's like, it doesn't have to necessarily be a career. It can be, do something for you, for your mental health. Do something, go to the gym every day, go for a walk every day, go do something like that. And eventually you'll have your thing that you're gonna want to do. And you might not, it might take years. My brother's 30, my brother's 33, and he just
Mhm.
went back to school to be a welder. And it's like, it took him, 10 years of being an adult out on his own to be like, oh, I think I want to weld. So it's like, things come and go, plans change. Just make sure I would say, make sure you take advantage of resources that you have to. Being a veteran in 2022, there's so many things that you can do. You can go to school for free. You can go and network. There's so many networking opportunities. The amount of people you meet because you're a veteran, it's insane.
Mhm.
And take advantage of that. Learn as much as you can. Go to school and get that degree, baby.
Get that
Get
degree, baby. I
the
love
degree
that.
that I just told you to not get earlier in the
Yeah.
day. It's part of the journey, man. Part of the
Yeah.
journey. I didn't, that if I wouldn't have went to school, I might not have, because I started doing stand up when I was at school. When I was in college, I saw an open mic, and then that's when I decided to go towards the very end of me being in college. So it's like one of those things where it's, if I wasn't in that place, I would have maybe never done it. So it's all part of the journey. It's like college took me there.
I think it's good advice. I think everything you're saying is going to be a valuable source of information for everyone who's listening. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody from Vet TV who's watching this. Josh Francis, thank you so much for your time. This has been our 11 days of veteran storytellers. We'll catch you next time.
Appreciate it.